Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a wonderfully clever story called The Little Eye Who Lost His Dot. We're going to unpack exactly how a seemingly simple children's tale manages to teach phonics, capitalization, and the honestly intimidating concept of growing up, all at the exact same time. It basically takes those dry, abstract rules right out of a grammar textbook and turns them into a totally engaging, emotional journey. So let's just jump right in and explore the hidden genius of this grammatical coming-of-age story.
Picture this. We start on what is, objectively, a super high-stakes morning for our protagonist. It's the absolute last day of alphabet school. The alarm clock rings, to the tune of the alphabet song, naturally, and Little Eye sits up, stretches, rubs his eyes, and makes a completely panic-inducing discovery. He looks to the left, looks to the right, and his dot is just gone. And if you think about it from a typographic standpoint, without his dot, who even is he? Just a tiny vertical line. His entire identity is suddenly thrown into question on the biggest day of the academic year.
Section 1. The Missing Dot Crisis.
Now what happens next is this perfect mirror of childhood playground dynamics mixed with pure grammatical anxiety. As soon as Little I arrives at school, his friends immediately spot that something is incredibly wrong. Little G gasps, Little P points, Little S just stares. They all crowd around him asking the ultimate question, "Where's your dot?" And their reactions are just so wonderfully character-driven based on the letters themselves. Little A asks what he'll do, Little W understandably whimpers at the sight of his distress, and Little H, ever the helpful friend, hands him a hanky for his tears. It's a genuine crisis, but his friends assure him they're going to help him find a new one.
Section 2. The alphabet steps in. Suddenly, the school bell rings.
Section 3. A Phonics Parade, featuring letters A through M.
The letters scramble into the classroom to make words, but they definitely haven't forgotten their friend's dilemma. What follows is honestly one of the most dynamic sequences in the whole story. It's this rapid, highly rhythmic delivery of phonetic problem solving. The entire classroom rallies behind Little I, totally transforming a search and rescue mission into a masterclass in alliteration and phonics. Letters A through M start offering up objects that begin with their respective sounds, trying to find them the absolute perfect replacement dot. Little A suggests an acorn, Little B bursts forward with a balloon, we get a clock from C, a donut from D, an egg from E, all the way down to Little L lighting up the line with a light bulb, and Little M offering a marble. It's an auditory feast that reinforces phonetic sounds while perfectly driving the narrative forward.
Section 3 continues, a phonics parade for letters N through Z.
The sequence keeps rolling seamlessly. Little N nods to a music note. Little O opts for an oyster shell. We've got a pretzel, a quarter, a ring. Little S even tries to scare him with a spider. Little U urges him to carry an umbrella. And it goes all the way to the very end of the alphabet, with Little X offering an extra special xylophone mallet, Little Y yelling to wear a yo-yo, and Little Z zooming over last, as always, with a 0. You can really see how effectively this narrative device drills down vocabulary and letter association for young readers without it ever feeling like a stiff lesson.
But here's the real kicker. Despite this overwhelming, wonderfully supportive phonetic parade, it doesn't work. Little I tries on the donut, the hula hoop, the 0, literally all of them, but nothing feels right. Why? Because none of these items actually fit who Little I is fundamentally meant to be. He can't just borrow someone else's phonetic object to replace a core part of himself.
Section 4. Outgrowing the dot. The school day eventually wraps up.
The letters stream out to the pickup area where all their parents are gathered. A sniffing, totally tearful Little I walks up to his father, who happens to be capital I. Heartbroken, Little I confesses the terrible truth. I lost my dot. But you know what? His dad doesn't panic at all. Capital I just smiles warmly and explains that he didn't lose his dot. He actually just left it on his pillow that morning. Dad brought it along just in case, but he delivers this incredibly crucial piece of wisdom. Since today is the last day of school and Little I has grown up, he doesn't actually need it anymore. What felt like a terrifying loss was really just a natural process of shedding something he had simply outgrown.
Section 5. Starting a new sentence.
This is exactly where the story brings us to its metaphorical pivot, and it is just beautifully executed. The author connects an emotional coming-of-age milestone to a very strict, definitive grammatical rule. Think about the physical morphology here. How does a lowercase I actually become an uppercase I? His dad gives him specific instructions: stretch out your arms and point out your feet. When you take a vertical line and stretch out lines at the top and the bottom, the anatomy of the letter literally transforms. The lowercase I, which usually sits safely tucked away in the middle of words, relies entirely on that dot. But the capital I, it stands tall, it's wide, and it is completely dotless.
So Little I follows his dad's instructions, stretches out his arms and feet, and looks down at his shadow on the ground. He smiles, realizing the absolute truth of it. Dad, I look just like you. I can start a sentence now. He realizes that losing his dot wasn't a trauma, and it definitely wasn't a mistake. It was a graduation. He has stepped into his new, powerful role in the grammatical world. He's finally ready to lead.
Section 6. Expanding the story. This brilliantly illustrates how the narrative transforms abstract grammatical concepts into a deeply relatable journey.
It teaches us that growing up sometimes means leaving comfortable things behind, but that shedding those things allows you to take on bigger, much more important roles, like starting a brand new sentence. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you pondering something really fun. The alphabet isn't just a rigid set of rules on a chalkboard. It's a living, breathing ecosystem. If outgrowing a dot means you get to start a sentence, what other secret dramatic lives do our punctuation marks and letters lead? I mean, what's the existential crisis of a comma turning into a semicolon? What is the secret life of the ampersand? It definitely makes you look at the text on your screen or the words in your favorite book in a completely different, vibrant light. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep looking for those hidden stories in absolutely everything you read.